In case I haven't met anybody yet, Mike Canales, I'm the town administrator. Welcome everybody to the first meeting of the reconstituted Forestry, Agriculture and Forestry Commission. Due to the fact that this commission's been dormant for so long, we really need to start from step one when the committee's formed, which is the actual formation of the committee, who's going to be the chair, who's going to be the vice chair, and then go from there as far as setting future meetings, agenda, and the rest. If you wish, we can save that to the end of the meeting, and I can go through just a couple pointers on open meeting law and public information law, just to make sure the committee's up to date on it. If that sounds good to everybody, I'll proceed with that. Screen share right now. All right, so stealing some slides right from the open meeting law introduction packet. Wanted to go over a couple of the most important points. And that is the main four questions we got to deal with whenever we're dealing with open meeting law, and anytime boards and commissions can get into trouble. The first is determination of when communication constitute a meeting. So, the four questions I need to ask is it communication between or amongst members of a public body? Does it constitute a deliberation? Is it within the body's jurisdiction? And is there an exemption? For the most part, for this board, the two main things we need to think about is when is it a meeting among a public body and when is it a deliberation? Jurisdiction will be anything that involves agriculture or forestry within the community. And the exemption list, a lot of times I would say that the chairman can contact me. I don't see where this commission would probably be involved too much in articles that would fall under an exemption. A lot of times those are personnel matters, and the only one that could come up could be a legal matter at some point. You never know when that could happen. But a lot of times we can look at those exemptions if there's a particular issue that the chairman feels as though may be difficult to talk about in a public session. Deliberation. The main thing about that as a commission when we start is any oral or written communication is part of the deliberation through any medium, including electronic mail. And this one has gotten a couple of our commissions in trouble as far as deliberations. And whether it's among a quorum of the public body and on business within its jurisdiction, which obviously for this group is agricultural and forestry. So the main thing when using electronic is that we avoid anything other than distribution of meeting agenda, scheduling, so you can communicate as far as availability for a meeting, and then reports or documents that may be discussed at a meeting that are often helpful to the members of the body when preparing for an upcoming meeting, as long as we don't express opinion or matters within. So the number one thing that gets people in trouble when you have is hitting the reply all to in the messages that may be sent. Somebody may send you a message asking a question about coming before the board or something. And what we want to do is get used to the chairman just responding, reply to them and having them either come to the meeting to discuss their matter. Where we get into trouble is somebody sends something they think is not going to be a debate, but they hit reply all, then somebody else hits reply all, and the next thing you know, you have a deliberation happening. So that's where I say is the most common area to be aware of. Like I said, the one that works and one that you can use reply all would be when you're doing the scheduling. But that should be specific. Are you available this day for a meeting? Don't add other things into it. Don't ask for opinion or anything else.
Can I ask about that before you move on, Michael?
Sure.
As far as an opinion, so here's an example where I'm not sure. So I want to bring up to the rest of the commission the idea of applying for forest stewardship grants.
Yeah.
And I was going to send a link to the website where you could apply. And so I thought, well, if I say I think it would be great for us to do this, it seems like, oh, that's an opinion. I better not
Yes.
do that. Am I right about that?
You are right. Yes. So what you would do is send. So example of that would be, I would like the board to consider applying for this grant. Send the grant information along with that to the chairman and to the other members to be placed on the agenda for the next meeting. Once again, this is where reply all becomes dangerous. If people reply all, oh, that's a great idea. Now we're into deliberation. So it's really got to be, I would like the board to consider at the next meeting the following, and then you're sending them the information, reports or documents to be discussed at the meeting, but not discussed via the electronic format, i.e. email. So, that's the one where, right, now you say, oh, I think this is a great thing to apply for. And then somebody replies back, yeah, I agree too. You just constitute a deliberation and possibly a quorum that's agreeing to do something. So the best way to communicate that always is, I would like the board to consider this and then include the information for the next meeting. That's the simplest way. Try not to express opinions on whether this is good, bad, or indifferent. You would just like this considered for the next meeting. And send it to the attention of send the email to the chair, but you can send it to the whole committee so everybody has it for the next meeting, but then we don't deliberate on it until we get to the meeting. So hopefully that answers that.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah. The agenda. So this sometimes gets asked, who is responsible for the agenda? So that's why I thought we might go through this. These are the things that the chair. So the chair of the board holds a responsibility for coordinating, planning the regular agenda and utilizing digital meeting management, which would be sending out an email saying, is everybody available on this set date for a meeting? That is the only time you're allowed to deliberate a little bit, is scheduling of the meeting. So that should be, yes, I'm available at this meeting. No, I'm not available to this. Each member of the board may request to place agenda items on for the meeting. But they must communicate their desired agenda items, such as via email, to the chairman. Ultimately, the authority on what gets placed on the agenda is vested in the chair. However, if the chairman decides that he or she does not want to place an item on the agenda, it can be brought up at the next meeting for the board itself to vote to place an item on a future agenda item. So you ask the chairman, I would like to place, the one that you just said, applying for a grant. The chairman decides he or she is not in favor of it. At the next meeting, you could ask to have it placed on the next agenda meeting as a vote of the board. So then the board itself can vote to place it on the agenda, and then it would be deliberated at the next meeting. So therefore, that's a little check on the power of the chair. Typically, this shouldn't be an issue, but I guess there are circumstances where it could. So when selecting a chair, understand that the one thing the chair does have is the responsibility for coordinating the agenda for the meeting. And in addition, the chairman also runs the meeting, recognizes who's speaking and the rest. So quorum is a majority of board members. So if you get together at a function, or if this has come up a discussion recently asked during the Democratic committee meetings that were held in town, a couple of the selectmen tuned into it. Well, the selectmen are there as guests of that meeting. They're not there at that meeting. And as long as they're not discussing things that fall underneath their jurisdiction, they can be at another meeting, but they're there as individuals. If you have a majority of you at a public, as members of that public body under your jurisdiction, it's a quorum. So don't go we had a recent visit to Ice Glen where Patrick on the select board had organized a hike up into the Ice Glen to look at treating the trees, possible treating and possible issues with Ice Glen. That would be because it would fall under forestry and agriculture. If more than 2 of you were present at it, it would constitute posting of a meeting because it does fall underneath this commission's authority. If you want to discuss, you must discuss public business within the body's jurisdiction. It must be done at a properly posted meeting.
One more
Like I
quick
said, I
question.
just threw a couple quick ones out here. There are things like site visits, but they still need to be posted. There's still a meeting of the board specifically for a site visit, such as when conservation does it, or Concom, or in the case of this group, that could be something around Ice Glen, a farm, or something else. If you want to do a site visit, and you would still have to post it as a visit, a site visit. When you go to do a site visit, we can talk about specifically, and I probably should have added some information about site visits, but whenever you do a site visit, if you're going to ask, you have to come back to and hold a public meeting to actually discuss what you had at the site visit. If you're at the site visit, you have to be careful of asking questions and other things, because anytime you hold a posted meeting, the posted meeting has to be in a accessible location. So when you're at a site visit, say up in Ice Glen, that's not an acceptable location. So you have to come back to a meeting and then discuss what was happening at the meeting at the site visit in order to get it on record. So if ever you're planning a site visit, we can touch base more on the regulations as far as site visits.
Quick question about quorum. There are 3 voting members. So even though I'm, the 4th, I'm not a voting member. So quorum for us is 2, right?
Yes, 2. Yep. The other issue we have to be aware of is the public records law. Whoops. Let's stop sharing that one. And I'm just going over these. All right, why is it still stuck on that one? It's not the one I want. Share. That's interesting. I'm gonna wait 1 second. I'm gonna close that other program. Maybe that'll do it. And I know what it was. It was because I had the show up. All right. Now it should do it. So the other piece that we always have to keep in mind is just the public record law. And this is where, once again, usually it's emails that get most issues as far as compliance with any regulation. So all email communications, electronic records are part of the public information law. We will be creating for each of you a email address for using Stockbridge -ma.gov. So going forward, you can use that as your email for this board. If you so choose to use a different email, understand that you become responsible for any public information requests. If it's our .gov one and it comes in and there's a public information request, we just simply do the search by your .gov and we can provide the electronic measures, and therefore you don't have to worry about it. Text messages, this one can get a little interesting, and I would always recommend if anybody contacts you via text message for communication that you ask them to email you. or that you immediately take the text message and actually send it to yourself as an email. So then it becomes the email record. That's just a way of avoiding if it ever became something legality where somebody is now trying to subpoena text messages or even subpoena your phone. So it's a good idea to encourage people to use email communication. Text messaging can be awkward. If it's a simple thing as, hey, are you coming to the meeting? Yes or no. But be careful, anytime it could be something that could be greater than that. And that's where I encourage people to just refer them to email communication and refer them to the email that we'll set up for you going forward. So that I just recommend that's the best way. I did have, when I was in the city of North Adams, I had a city councilor, I wanted his own personal email. And when it became an issue that a person was bothered by something that was being said at a meeting, they subpoenaed all their electronic records, including their personal email. And then it becomes an issue of trying to separate your personal email and the rest. We back up all of our email communications. We don't delete them. They get archived and they get saved to a server. And then you just don't have to worry about it at all if that request comes in and you're using ours. The records access officers for municipalities are generally the municipal clerk, which it is for the town of Stockbridge, and it also includes myself. So we would supply those records that we have readily accessible to us, to them. These would be minutes of the meetings. This would also be any email communication that's done through the stockbridge-ma.gov access. And there are exemptions just like the other one, but these generally apply to mostly personnel matters. I don't see where this committee would be dealing with a lot. I cut out all the slides and we could have gone through, there's like 20 different exemptions, but for the most part, most of them deal with personnel matters or records that are proprietary. So you guys typically wouldn't be dealing with those overall. But if we do think we're in a situation, that's where I would say the chairman, if the chairman isn't sure, they can contact me. You are going to get from our town clerk information on the governor's open meeting law and public information law, so you can look at the whole thing. But this was just a quick look at what you're dealing with. So I don't know if there's any other questions, comments, or anything you guys would like to go over at this point.
Yeah, I have one thing, Mike.
Yep.
I believe that the select board has to appoint us in staggered terms. You can't start with 3-year
Yes.
terms.
We're going to take care of that. You guys are all appointed, but one thing they do need to do is they're going to establish one as a 1 year, a 2 year, and then a 3 year, just so that they're staggered as an appointed board. So that's the preferred method. And then we'll appoint the alternate also for a term in there. So yes, we're going to take care of that at the next meeting. Is there any other questions that you guys have at this point?
Is this going to be the regularly scheduled meeting time?
Well, that's part of establishing a chair and then deciding whether you want to hold regular meetings. So we have some commissions that obviously run regular meetings. We have others such as our ZBA, which meet as needed. And that can be around the season or what's happening. But a lot of that will be decided by the chair as the chair sets the meetings and the agenda for the meetings. So really that's going to be a little bit on how this board wants to run, how you see yourselves running, and whether or not you think that it's going to be monthly or bi-monthly or as needed. So there's a couple different ways that you can establish yourself that way. I do know that there is the right to farm bylaw that's going in front of town meeting this year, which does mean that if you have a forestry and agricultural commission, that is actually where the complaints have to go by statute. So that creates one where we could have something that's popping up every once in a while. But that would be, like I said, up to the committee and the chair to decide if you want to hold regular meetings or as needed.
I haven't heard of that bylaw yet. How do we get to see it?
So it's right on our website. It's actually, the state has a pre-approved right to farm bylaw that that the state, you just plug in your town's name and it just reaffirms the right to bylaw with it, or right to farm within your community. But the one catch is that if you have an agricultural and forestry commission, then they would hear any complaints that arise between neighbors of that. So
Have we had such a bylaw before, and this is just an update, or is this new? for
no,
us?
this is so Massachusetts has a right to farm anyways, but the right to farm bylaw in each community reaffirms the community's commitment to right to farm. And like I said, the Attorney General has given every community a pre-approved one that all you have to do is plug in your town's name and then get it adopted at your town meeting. So if there isn't anything else, it's really now into your guys' hands to establish your chair and your vice chair. And then the chairman would set the meetings and set the agenda for the meetings. During your meetings, you'll need to keep minutes. The minutes should list anything that an overview of what, if there's any discussion, but the main thing is capturing any motions and any votes. So that's one of the key things. So if you decide to say, if it comes to when we get to Ice Glen, if there's something a vote to do on the hemlocks, you would have a motion and then seconds and then a vote, discussion and then a vote. So it's usually a motion, a second, deliberation, and then a vote from there on the subject matter.
And are the minutes sent to the town clerk? To go on the
Yes.
website?
I would recommend that the minutes get sent to the town clerk for the number one reason that, once again, under the public information law, if you supply the town clerk with the minutes, she's obligated to supply any requests. Any boards that do not supply us with the town clerk with the minutes, then the individual board members become responsible for distributing any requests. So I absolutely recommend that you send your minutes after they've been approved to the town clerk. The only time minutes can become an issue is if before your next meeting, when you approve minutes, that if somebody asked for minutes, then we would have to supply them with whatever draft notes or anything else that were kept at that meeting. So
And the
one
clerk-
nice thing with Zoom is these meetings are recorded so that it is very easy to go back and look at the minute and look at it and then make your notes for the meeting, your minutes. So it's a very handy tool. I know Teresa does that for the select board. She watches them after and then does their meetings and the minutes and then submits them to them for approval. Like I said, if there's any long conversations or anything else pertinent, discussions should be noted in the minutes, but overall it's mainly your motions when you take action on an agenda item.
Thank you.
So if there's nothing else, the main thing is for the three committee members to determine who the chair will be, who the vice chair will be. And then, the chairman from there can begin scheduling meetings and moving forward. So I don't know how you guys want to go about it.
I'll say I feel at a disadvantage because I don't know any of you. To nominate someone to be the chair, I just don't know you. I can say I would like to not be the chair, if that helps.
That's just right. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I've met a couple of you through a few of the meetings we've had on the resilience. So I've got a sense of some of you. I don't know, Eric, if you have any thoughts on what your feeling is about the chair.
Not really, since I don't know any of you. Um, So we already have one person that doesn't want to do it. What would you like?
I don't mind if it's it's between us two. I don't mind organizing. I will say I will need support because this is my first commission or any government activity I've been part of. So if that doesn't scare anyone off, I also don't mind.
Okay, I'll nominate you.
I second. I'm very happy to help. I've been on the Conservation Commission for many years, so
Oh, that helps.
how meetings run, so I'm happy to help.
So let's have the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 There you go. You have a chairman.
Thank you.
And you can contact me too about setting up your agendas if you want any advice on that. If you need me to attend any of your meetings because you feel as though you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me. We are taking appointments at town hall, and also we're going to be opening up probably by the end of the month. We'll probably be opening up town hall, so you can also stop in and we can meet to discuss anything you have coming up, or just send an email or call me. More than happy to work with any board on any issues.
I do have a question, Michael, in terms of the definition of forestry, if it includes urban forestry. I'm certainly interested in the forest, but I'm also interested in our street trees, hazard trees, replacement trees, all of that.
Yeah, let me see if I can quickly look at the bylaws.
We do have a tree warden that's
Right,
responsible for that.
Yeah, we do.
right. And the tree warden is responsible for any town-owned trees.
Mhm.
A lot of these deal with trees along the right of ways that the community has. And I'm just trying to quickly look at what the definition of, let's see. What page is the forestry? Forestry. I don't know why my internet's a little slow, but let's see.
I have it here. It's pretty brief.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Sorry, it's page 41.
Yeah, it's the section 1 defines what we're here for, and it's just one paragraph. There shall be an agricultural and forestry commission which shall, as appropriate, advise town boards and officials regarding initiatives and strategies to support commercial agriculture and other farming and forestry activities, to encourage the pursuit of agriculture and forestry, to promote agriculture or forestry-based economic opportunities, to work for the preservation of agricultural and forest lands. Thank God they put that in. And to pursue the creation of a sustainable agricultural and forestry community in the town.
I think that keeps it pretty broad.
Mhm.
As far as, I think it could very much include urban, yes. I don't,
When I was on the tree committee in Great Barrington, we worked really closely with the tree warden. So we had a committee, but the tree warden and the tree warden ended up joining the committee, which was really great. And it just enhanced the work of the tree warden.
right. And I do think that's something we should work on. Whoever becomes it's about to change. So we're about to have a new tree warden, and I think that they should work hand in hand with this group. So that'll be something I'll sit down with the new tree warden once we know after the 18th who it is. Yeah.
So I guess should we talk about scheduling while we're all on the topic?
Yeah.
And what people feel like they want to do for how often they want to meet as of right now, I guess.
I would like to start meeting regularly to kind of get a sense of to coalesce a little bit.
Yeah, that's really up to you guys. I mean, I'd have to double check with CTSB whatever day you're looking, if you have a couple dates, to make sure we don't set up avoid double booking of meetings. But other than that, the chairman can contact Steve right at CTE. Just put it in the chat, his phone number and his email address.
Mhm.
So once you establish the meeting and what you would like to, what day you'd like, just double check with him so that it's not, especially if it's going to be, it's much easier if it is a reoccurring once a month
Right.
one, then it can just not conflict with the other boards that meet
Mhm.
annually. And then you have some boards, like I said, that just pop up, but those you have to check right now. You know, as far as meeting in person, in case anybody wants to know, the biggest issue right now with meeting in person is not the fact that the board can't meet in person, but a public meeting, even in indoor space, we still have to maintain the 6-foot distance. So a lot of our rooms can only hold like 13 or 14 people. And one of the things that we're not allowed to do is turn anybody away from an open public meeting. So that is going to hold us to letting the public in via remote. So until that's lifted, we will be still holding majority of our meetings probably through Zoom through August. And that's when the governor is going to look at the possibility of lifting restrictions further as of August 1st. But obviously that can change based on a lot of factors. But right now we'll be staying with the Zoom format.
Mike, there aren't any meetings on Monday, are there?
Not that I'm aware of that are regularly scheduled, but we still should double check with Steve just to make sure that there's not a double booking for them for CTSB to record these meetings.
Do we want to say, well, if Steve wants to chime in, I'm not sure if he's there.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just double juggling a ZBA meeting on another computer. Meetings usually around this time probably are good, but sometimes assessors is at 9 in the morning, and the historic preservation is about 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon. Usually they don't last longer than an hour or so.
And there's probably
can we-
different Mondays that work too, other than like the 1st or 3rd, right, Steve?
Yeah. Are you meeting more than once a month?
What are you guys thinking? Once a month that you're going to get together to start?
Well, we actually have an active time-sensitive issue that the select board is interested in.
Yeah.
Normally, you probably wouldn't have to meet more than once a month,
Right.
but I'm guessing that the selectman's not going to be very happy if the next time we talk to each other is a month from now.
Yeah, I would say this was just a setup meeting.
Mhm.
So don't count this one as part of your normal. From here forward, you're going to have an agenda. You're going to have, well, a full agenda created by you guys around your jurisdiction, which is agriculture and forestry. Today was just sort of a setup of government meeting. So, because this committee became defunct for a number of years and now has been brought back up. The other thing is you could schedule a monthly meeting right now to be scheduled and then also meet as needed in between. I know that happens a lot with the Conservation Committee. It happens with even the select board and others where something comes up and they have to hold a meeting outside of their regular meeting, especially around, like you said, there's an issue right now with Ice Glen that's going to come up
Mhm.
that, you know, might cause you guys right in the beginning to need to meet a little more often And then depending on where it goes from there, yeah, I'm not sure how often. So probably what I would recommend is you schedule a monthly meeting and then you schedule additional meetings as needed. But then once a month you get together, just discuss any issues as a whole. But
Yeah.
it's up to you guys really how you'd like to do it.
I think you just need what, Mike, like a 48-hour advance before.
Yes, to post a meeting. So 2 days before, I recommend you do 3 so you can get it to the town clerk. And then you'll never end up with an issue of not getting it on time. So if you do it 3 days ahead, you'll be able to do it.
If you miss the posting, some groups meet anyway, but they call it an informal meeting. They can't officially vote.
And there's some question of whether you should even be deliberating or meeting or not.
Okay.
So it's always dangerous to do one of those. So I always recommend that you post it plenty. If you contact us 3 business days, not weekends. And you got to watch out for some of the weird holidays that the private sector might not be aware of, like Patriots Day, that we can't post a meeting, can't count that day. And some people are like, what's Patriots Day? Because they've never had it off. June 19th is a new holiday, so people need to be aware of. So there are a couple there. But if you contact us a couple, 3-4 days ahead of time of a meeting, we can make sure it gets posted.
And the agenda needs to be posted at the same, I mean, it's the time, the fact that it's happening and the agenda at the same time.
Yeah, the agenda must include the time, date, and location of the meeting. And you send that to the town clerk, and that's all you have to do. Once it goes to the town clerk, done, gets posted on the website as informal, website's not an official, and then gets actually posted at the official sites, which get time, date, stamped, and the rest in case there's any questions for legality purposes.
So can I propose that for monthly meetings, this is not saying we're only going to do monthly meetings, but for monthly meetings, we say Mondays, the first Monday of the month.
Mhm.
What does that look like for everybody?
That's good for me. At
Good.
this,
And then, so that will be our regular monthly meeting. And then for now, like you were saying, Eric, we'll do maybe schedule another one for next Monday. Is that possible for everybody? You can't?
I can do next Monday if it's like 5 o'clock, not 6:30.
Not 6:30.
I have a 7 o'clock meeting next Monday.
Got it. Eric, can you do 5?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm retired. I can pretty much arrange my schedule to do it anytime. Just not 7 in the morning.
Just not set. I agree with that. So let's say next Monday at 5.
Do you want to make sure Patrick can be there? Because I think he will be providing us with a lot of information, right?
Then we'll put it conditional with his availability.
And didn't Chucky say he wants to be the select board rep?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So Chuck is officially asked to be appointed as a liaison from the select board. So he'll attend your meetings, non-voting member just to be involved. And then report back to the select board. So, yeah.
So why don't I check in with Chucky and Patrick about that? If not, is the 24th another possibility? That's just the following Monday.
That's fine with me.
And we'll just say time to be determined for now, if we have to go to that backup time.
The 24th is a 4 p.m. Historic Preservation Committee meeting.
If we were to do it at 6:30, would that be possible?
Yeah, or 5:30 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we do that, okay.
Yeah, but next Monday, the 17th at 5 is fine.
Thank you.
You might check sometimes. I'm not sure what his working hours are, but
Yeah, that sometimes 5 o'clock can be tight, but
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna be rushing from the fields to get in for that one, but I'll try, do my best.
Yeah.
So Michael, can we actually schedule a time to talk to make this a trial run of posting agenda,
Sure.
doing all this, just so I can get all the ducks in an order.
Yep.
To make sure I do this right.
Right.
You can
would
also
wanna
take a
post-
look at, sorry, you can also take a look at some of the other agendas for other committees and
Yeah.
commissions for formatting and things like that.
Yeah.
And if
We
you,
could use they can use the link that's already on this one for the Zoom part, right, Steve?
yeah, I've made this a recurrent login right now,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Actually, the agenda for this meeting, you could pretty much use that and just plug in what the agenda items would be. But yes,
Okay.
I can meet with you. We would want to post it by Wednesday if you're going to do it for the following.
Right.
And, just to make sure, we can post it Thursday before 5 o'clock, but we don't want to,
Right.
it's better not to get in that habit.
Right.
Eric, did you
And-
want to be vice chair?
I don't care.
I nominate you for vice chair. then.
I guess
A
I should have
second.
said something.
Yeah,
Shall we vote?
I'm-
Do we have, so vote on that?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
I'm available all day Wednesday, if there's any time that works for you on Wednesday,
What time do you have in the morning?
anytime. What time?
Anytime? If we met at 8, is that possible?
I can get in here for 8, not a problem.
In person or Zoom?
It's up to you.
I can come down at 8 and
All
meet
right.
you. Town hall.
Yep. So just come in by the police station and take the elevator up to the first floor because the rest of the doors are locked. And then I'll meet you at 8 o'clock at town hall.
Okay.
We probably ought to decide who's going to be the secretary, take minutes, just to make sure it gets done. I'm actually taking notes now because I'm just used to doing that for work. But
Can you be the secretary as the alternate? If not, I will.
Mike, am I allowed to do that?
Yeah. Whoever you have doing the minutes, sometimes it's the chairmans that do the minutes. Sometimes boards elect a secretary. But yeah. Yep, it could be anyone.
Well,
I nominate Shelby.
There you go.
I
okay,
second that.
okay.
Now just an all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There we go. And you can see the meetings right on their website, Shelby, so you can, if you need to rewatch or see something at the meetings, these get recorded. It makes it very, very nice to go back and double check things if you weren't quite sure.
Thanks.
When I have been secretary in the past, and I would always send my minutes to the chair for approval. And then the chair would send them to the clerk. I don't know if that's how you do it here, but that's how.
You send it to the chair, but it's still a vote of the committee to approve.
Right,
so-
right. I mean, once I
Right. The chair would place it onto the agenda for the next meeting to vote to approve the minutes of the last meeting. And then, once they're approved, send them over to the clerk and then they're off your guys' hands.
Great.
All right. Unless there's something else, I think you guys are now up and running as an official committee.
Motion to adjourn.
As long as everyone's got nothing else. Second,
Aye.
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 Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Like.
Thank you all.
you.
Good night.
Night, everyone.